What's up, everybody? Ian Walsh, Hard Money Bankers, with my partner Ryan Walsh from Hard Money Bankers, and doing our 12:30 show. We are hopefully anticipating Jim Bottrell from Temecula, California, to jump on, and he's a high-performing realtor in that market. And it just we were anticipating him being on, but I don't know if there was some sort of potential issue with the fact that he's 3 hours, and I said 12:30, and he might be thinking 3:30 or something. So, anyways, if he doesn't show up, no problem. We'll still put up some of his information on the screen. So if anybody's in Temecula, California, but we're really interested and looking forward to seeing him. So what's going on, Ryan? What's new with you?
You know what I think it is, Ian? We've had several days where scheduling is getting a little bit more difficult. I think it's because the world's opening up again.
Ooh, could it be? Could it be the world is open and people are busy and people are actually doing things, and that means nobody's watching this? Is that what that means?
Could be. I mean, it makes sense though. I think, I was out in Hoboken yesterday. So I go there for an acupuncture appointment with my wife, and we go for a short little walk right after at Hoboken, which is right, you can see New York City, right? It's right on the Hudson.
Yeah.
And this has been maybe 3 weeks in a row. We got our masks on. We got all the stuff you're supposed to have. And every week there's just significantly more people and less masks. So I think people are just done with it. They're over it.
I am, I think we all are. So, okay. At the extent of us not getting the millions of viewers that we normally get, I'll take that sacrifice to reopen the economy so the rest of the world can, prosper at our expense.
I suppose. I guess it's a fair trade.
Fair trade. Okay. Actually, perfect. Actually leaves me some room to talk about some stuff that I want to talk about yesterday. I was actually I have Q&As for you on our Friday meeting because you did them yesterday. So a couple things that were interesting in the news in general. So we have the SpaceX that did not launch yesterday, right? So SpaceX is the first manned shuttle to go into space since 2011, is my understanding.
Outside of NASA?
I don't know. NASA's involved in it. I don't know. It just seemed, it was on my Facebook feed, and so therefore it was,
Let me ask you, how is this impacting the real estate market?
Has no impact on the real estate market, but I wanted to talk about this stuff that was on my mind.
Absolutely. I mean, our inside, we have an inside source. They say that all those Mars missions that Elon Musk was talking about back in 2016, 2017, but everybody probably remembers that. The big push for Mars is that we will not be going to Mars. Everything does indicate that seems to be the case. I mean, they really backed off of it. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know when they go into. I didn't look far enough into it other than it was on my Facebook feed and I saw the shuttle. But are we going to? Where are we going? Are we just gonna do a little lap around the Earth, or what are we doing? I don't really know what the destination is. Do you?
For this SpaceX thing?
Yeah.
No idea. That's what I'm saying. The whole push to Mars and whatnot really dropped off, and it's SpaceX mission all of a sudden 2017, 2018 became very unclear.
Right. That is true. It definitely, there at one point it was wow, this looks like in the next year, everybody was getting their
signing up for it.
Right. Their one-way ticket, they had a name for that. The top, the 100 whatevers, there was one-way tickets on this one. By the way, I get that it's profound and crazy. I really put myself when this was going nuts, I put myself in that moment being all right, you're in the ship, all, the perspective. I was I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I just not. I get the heroism of it, and I get the exploration of it. I just don't see how it works out well. You know what I mean? Do you?
I think you got to be a little. I don't know if bored's the right word of your life on Earth, but you got to really be looking for something new.
Yeah.
Not for me.
No, and I think like the upside of what you think it'll be, like you think you're going to be like remembered in the world and all this, I think it's going to be miserable. Like it's just going to be a terrible experience. At some point, you're going to really, say, I don't want to do this anymore. That's my opinion.
I think if you were the first individual and the only one on the planet, you would go down in history forever. But if you're amongst like 500 or 1,000 that are going, like, you're no one's going to know you.
You can't get the recognition. You can't get anything. So, by the way, I put up on our screen. So this is our partner, Jason Balin and Ian Horowitz's podcast. Ian just posted in the comments section on, it's a good, they do a really good job too. So
yeah.
So I just put their stuff up too. It's the Real Estate Reserve podcast. They do it daily as well. So it's a good show. So anyway, so SpaceX, I don't know. I'll leave that to the actual heroes and astronauts and cowboys of our world, but that's just not for me. So SpaceX is one thing I want to talk about. Another one that is.
Well, I mean, do you think it is equivalent to an 18th century, Oregon Trail explorer who, could you have been from New Jersey in your town and you're like, man, people are going across the country to start over, right? Like, is that a modern version of the Oregon Trail? I think so.
I think it is. Yeah. I think it definitely is. Aside from the fact though, that like part of it to me is like, hey, things here, first we got to take care of things here. Second, things are pretty good here. So like when you look at like what they were doing, I'm like, you're leaving good for not likely like not good. And when I say good, I mean like, we have amenities and we have Amazon and we have things delivered to our door here. Like you didn't have that back in the Oregon Trail days. You had like crap life, like hard life no matter what. So you were like going to find gold. You were going, and I'm sure you're going to better your life is essentially what it was designed to do. Right. Well, with this, I'm like, this is more just like, look, you could like, if you don't like Europe, just go to the US. You don't like the US, just go to Europe. But you still have like fun things. I think the reason for travel is a little different. Probably the end result of like fame is probably the same.
I get what you're saying on your common individual back then. Because I bet, let's just say Mars does turn into something and there's like good work or something. People might go to say, I want to send money to my family, right? And say it might be the same. But the original people, like, you look at like the founder of Seattle, right? He wasn't necessarily going to better his life. He was going just because he's like, I'm an explorer. I want to go start a city. I want to go do this. So I think your initial group is similar to the initial people who went on the trail. But everyone who follows is going to be based on whether or not there is opportunity on Mars to either make money, whatever it is, right?
Right.
So it could be a new gold rush. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's on Mars that would be like a gold rush. I don't think we know that answer if it even exists yet. But maybe there's something there.
No, and I'll stick to doing real estate in Philadelphia and maybe moving like an hour to the west at some point in my life.
How do you think the comps are going to show up on Mars? Do you think?
Oh gosh, I'll tell you what. I hope Bright is the first one in the door. That's
the MLS of Mars would be Bright.
MLS of Mars better be Bright, because if it's not, I'm not lending on Mars if it's not Bright. I'm just calling it now.
Just to expand on what Ian and I are laughing about, if you're in New Jersey, especially the North New Jersey, you have like 6 different MLSs that you have to use, and they are all clunky as heck. And then you get to South Jersey and the Philly, Delaware, even Maryland area, you use the Bright MLS, and we love it. So we would love for Bright to kind of take over all the MLSs we use.
For sure. The other thing on a not a great topic, but definitely news right now. This gentleman, I'm sure everybody's seen the picture. I'll put it up real quick. It's an NSFW moment, but so what took place for those that are living under a rock? There was a guy that was arrested in Minneapolis, I think it was. I think it's Minneapolis. Yeah. And the guy, I mean, from the way it looks, I don't know the inside scoop of it, but the way it looks, the officer was restraining him and he couldn't breathe, and he said, I couldn't breathe, and the guy died.
all on camera.
All on camera. Yeah. I mean, the graphics, the graphic of it is just like, when you look at it, you're like, gosh, it hurts you to your bones when you see it. You know, you just can like, you can't believe that that's happening. Now, unfortunately, these things happen in other places, but they're not as graphically caught on camera. And right now we have riots going on in Minneapolis due to this. That's happening today now, like, you know, and so it's causing a lot of turmoil and controversy.
Sure.
What's your take on it?
A good friend here, Benedict, who runs a NORC meetup here, he just shared something which I thought was a great comparison. Was the police officer that was just fired during the COVID time, when he said, like, hey, police officers, you're going to have to make a moral decision to support your civilians, right?
Yeah,
that guy's fired. And then this guy has to go under investigation. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
how is this guy not immediately fired and whatnot?
Let me look into this. I don't know if we have enough evidence against the situation. Like, you know, that's essentially what you're saying here. Like, I don't know. Is this enough? Do we have enough incriminating evidence?
Like, I think. How slow is your government if you can't make a snap decision on something like that?
I don't know, but I think, though, you know, if nothing else, this guy gets remembered as like a symbol of, you know, this stuff gets pushed to the edge of not good. You know what I mean? Like, the nation will have a tipping point, and it's, you know, when you have riots and stuff, that's a tipping point.
I mean, I think it's good that we don't have to go all the way back to the MLK days where, like, I think the majority of support was immediately against this violence and for this person who lost their life, rather than, you know, MLK having to raise millions and millions of people to get to that point, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, right. So the awareness of where we are now is higher. You know, I'm glad nobody supports this, or
right, exactly.
You know, nobody even is discussing it in any kind of like justification type fashion. It is really, you know, the cops, man, they have not been doing great lately. And I know there's so many good cops out there, and I know it's like, you know, the one bad egg type scenario, but like, there's a lot of bad eggs right now. And like, you know, somebody, I forget who it was or wherever I read it, which I thought was a really good, you know, post, which was like, look, like, if you're a cop right now, you have a responsibility to not just not do this stuff, but like, you've got to speak out, like the guy in Seattle, like, right. Use the platform. There's a guy in Texas, I think this morning that did that. You know, he was a sheriff, or I forget, but basically was saying, like, these cops have to stand up now in a way that, like, they have to become vocal. If you know, if they want to not have people are going to hate them. People are going to hate cops. They're going to lump them in, and every single time they have this, it gets amplified because of how terrible these situations are. You know, I don't know if there's like a better process for vetting cops or something, like, you know, that needs to happen, but there will be a reaction to this. And if cops just stay silent, that's not the right answer. And the guy in Seattle, I think, had it, which was, you know, you have a responsibility. You signed up to protect people, you know, and so, and I know they're probably afraid to lose their job. They see that thing happen in Seattle, and they go, I'm afraid to lose my career. I'm afraid to lose my job. But, you know,
it's a tough position to be in, right? Because, you know, if you are a good cop, you're right. You probably are silent right now because you don't want to end up in the same platform that the guy got fired. And now you got to feed your, like, you know, you may individually support that, but if you have a family, everyone knows everything changes once you have a family, right? It's hard to make those decisions. So
yeah, it's tough. It's a moral high ground type deal, like at a very high level.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think the best response we could do as a nation is make sure that guy who did speak out of it in Seattle and got fired, make sure not only does he get a new job, but he gets paid more and he's in a higher position. He should be in an authoritative position, I think.
Which guy?
The guy who was fired in Seattle for saying, hey,
cops, he should be rewarded, not punished. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So that's how we respond. So other cops maybe you don't have to necessarily speak out yourself, but you can go out of your way to find how to support this guy and make sure he's rewarded. And then you take the guy who just did what he did in Minneapolis, people should be going out of the way to make sure he's correctly punished, right?
Yeah. I mean, he should be tried for murder. I mean, that'll be for others to decide, but he should be tried for murder. I mean, unless there's something way off on this story that we don't know about, not that anything justifies it at all. Like, there's nothing that can justify it. Like, it'd have to be something as crazy as like the Kim Jong-il thing where you're like, oh, he died, and then you find out that he's not dead or something. Like, there's
Right.
no other in between there that makes sense to me to, so like the guy, he killed somebody. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I get the argument that it's scary being a police officer. Like, you have to be very aggressive in order to protect your own life. And there is that. Not trying to say that isn't the case, but what I am saying is, and I think this piggybacks off of what you were saying before, now, especially more than ever, cops have to be not just careful, but make sure they are being vocal on the right side. So that is riskier for you as a police officer. You are risking your life more so than your civilian. And that's why we thank you for what you're doing. If you were on the other side of that, where you are causing more threat to civilians' life, you're doing the opposite of what you signed up for.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're doing literally the opposite. You're something else. You're not an officer of, that this world, this nation needs. So I don't know. That's going to keep. There'll be more that comes from this, but I'm going to skip to one more topic, which I'm like not even straight. These have nothing to do with each other, but these are just things that I was thinking of. So Bitcoin back in the news. Have you been seeing this? Like, so some background on it, and this is a little bit more real estate related, because like, can you buy real estate with Bitcoin? Is that going to be possible one day? But from like the bigger headlines.
I like that question. Let's come back to that, but keep going.
Okay. So from the bigger view of everything here, there are a lot of big institutions right now looking at Bitcoin and promoting it and saying they're investing in it, including, I definitely know Goldman Sachs, what's his name? The Tudor Fund, big, huge investor, speculative investor. And I think JP Morgan, or I think there's another massive bank.
JP Morgan backs up Ethereum. So I don't know if you're just talking general crypto or specifically Bitcoin here.
I thought it was looped in with like the Bitcoin conversation, but I could be wrong. But there's like, so Bitcoin went through this whole, like, it was invented, it was interesting, people started using it, then it bubbled up, then it crashed, and now it's regained momentum. And also this morning there was an article I saw that Russia is criminalizing Bitcoin. If you are caught using Bitcoin, you're fined institutions up to a certain amount of money, and then you can go to jail. So they're actually criminalizing the use of Bitcoin. Yeah. So whether it's good or not in terms of the way organizations and companies are reacting to it, it's caught the attention of the big players. And that means
the government's making any sort of law. It's got attention.
Yeah, it got attention, right? So they either declared it a threat, or maybe it was like a passive side swipe to like increase the value to show people that we're paying attention to it. I don't know. But, I think there's a real threat apparently to the, current financial system with this being on the radar of so many big institutions. I'm guessing a lot of them are hedging and saying, I don't know, this is the next big thing, but I can't be left behind if I'm wrong.
Right.
That's more of what I'm thinking, because they got to look back and go, yeah, we switched over to Bitcoin, but they didn't really know they were supposed to switch over to. They just, but they were like hedging because they have enough more money than God to do that. I don't know that I'm going to run out and buy Bitcoin, because all you need is like, the United States and like Europe to all of a sudden go, you know what, we're criminalizing it as well. And now it's going to plunge again in value. So, but, do we think the future can be decentralized banking with cryptocurrency? I mean, at one point it was like kind of funny, Bitcoin was this funny thing, and then it got a little more serious, then it crashed, and now it's like getting serious again. What do you think?
I think the war is against the central banks, which is a heck of a war. I mean, do I think the crypto world is better for the world? I personally think so, but you're not. It's like saying Amazon, we're gonna put a competitor up of yours. It's gonna wipe you out of business. Amazon's not gonna go be like, all right, yeah, it's fine. They're gonna fight, right? So your central banks have a lot of control, and they're not gonna go quietly on it, right? So if it does become a threat to them, I think they'll shut it down. Try to.
Oh, you think they'll shut it down, or do you think it's too big to shut down?
That's what I think we're currently finding out. I think they're working their magic with their government people, and at the same time also investing in it in case they can't win that.
Probably a good move. The enemy of my enemy, you might as well, get on his side and in the meantime, right? So, but yeah, those are the topics that I wanted to cover today because we have another open mic tomorrow. Gosh, we were
open mic week.
Open mic week. But did you have anything you wanted to cover on your end that you thought might be good?
No, I'm glad we avoided coronavirus because I'm so sick of talking about that.
Oh, we got through the whole thing. You never said it. We never said it.
Yeah, well, I'm congratulating us. We did it.
Okay, yeah, we did it. We did it. Yeah, I did not feel like. I agree. I was like thinking last night. I was like, I don't want to get on and talk about the freaking virus again. But then I was like, sweet, that means we're at a bottom. So, that's what I'm thinking in my head at least.
I hope. And we are only halfway through 2020. We've had enough action for 6 years, 7 years, and we had it all in 6 months. So
we got an election, we got trade wars, we got all kinds of stuff to.
I guess that's one last thing we could mention real quick is that U.S. Officially does not recognize Hong Kong for trading.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw though the implications of it, which meant because China was using Hong Kong as basically like a loophole in the tariff system, so it was more of an attack on China in the way that they can't use it for their economy any longer. That was what it came down to. Like they were using Hong Kong and we were cool with it. The way we were just looking the other way or just allowing the loophole to happen, and that's what was going on.
I guess we'll see. There's definitely stuff going. I'm rooting for Hong Kong citizens.
Yeah, for sure.
So definitely, I feel like a lot of things were just introduced, and now we're just got to see how they're all going to play out. And we'll keep voicing our opinion to let the government know what we think they should do so they don't go and do the opposite.
Sounds good. All right. So we'll catch up tomorrow and see if there's any other crazy news going on.
All right. Take care.
All right.